My name is Jamel Hill.
And Spotify.
Alex Cooper.
Happy Hour Podcast.
Your audience is listening. As the destination for music, podcasts, and storytelling, we have the most immersed audience looking to connect with their favorite artists and audio creators from around the world. And our connection with them is intimate. They each curate their own listening experience with Spotify. They know Spotify is where culture is not only reflected, it's defined. And that opens a world of creative opportunity for brands. On Spotify, your brand breaks through. Our innovative solutions are designed to help your brand drive results that matter to you. And with our extensive measurement capabilities, you'll have the metrics to prove it. Listen to what's next.
Welcome everyone. My name is Sally Keane and I'm a Director of Sales here at Spotify Advertising. Thank you for tuning in to today's studio sessions, and we're coming to you live from Spotify's London HQ, and we're so excited to have you all here. So a little bit of housekeeping before we start. First, don't worry, you will not be seen or heard during the session and your audio and video are turned off. Now we know that ad effectiveness is top of mind for brands. And we know that budgets are under intense scrutiny, and you and your clients and for all of our agency partners need to know that every pound of budget is being spent and used effectively. And that's what today's session is all about. Over the next 30 minutes, we've got two sessions lined up. First, we'll be exploring our latest research study, The Consumer Decision Journey, with Darren Thompson, Director of Sales at Spotify. This study dives into consumer behaviour across the funnel, looking at which formats are most effective at each stage. Second, we'll hand over to Matt, Director of Measurement Solutions at Spotify, to take you through our latest insights, case studies and measurement solutions showing how brands have driven results on Spotify. At the end, we'll come back to answer questions from today's session, so stay tuned and don't forget to submit your questions via Slido. Sounds good? Okay, over to you, Darren.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Darren Thompson. I'm the Director of Sales at Spotify Advertising here in the UK. I'm thrilled to be with you today, and I'm excited to be able to share our latest piece of consumer research with you, the Consumer Decision Journey. In partnership with market research agency Tapestry, we caught up with nearly 20,000 people across the globe, digging deeper into their listening and buying habits. This is our largest ever study, a deep dive into the audio's impact on the consumer journey. The result? A full view of the path to purchase, from first glance to final purchase and beyond. Let's dive in and take a look at what we found. The typical path to purchase is divided into 5 stages. It begins with B, just your regular day-to-day before buying crosses your mind. Then comes Dream, you're exploring and weighing options. Choose, here's where you decide on what's making the cut. Buy, you make your purchase, and finally use, the joy of trying out your new stuff. We found that consumer journeys can vary based on time and consumer confidence level. While consumer confidence increases throughout the journey, it never quite reaches 100%. No matter the category, most journeys make a similar shape, but there are of course some nuances. Food and drink purchases are confident and fast-paced. Buyers have the highest confidence in these purchases across the entire journey. Beauty and fashion are quick but considered. These journeys are about inspiration, personalization, and image. Tech and auto decisions are highly considered. They're likely to take the most time, where discovery and exploration is key. And given that confidence never reaches 100%, it's not surprising that 2 in 3 consumers said they had multiple brands in mind all the way up until the buy stage, which is understandable, as there is a lot to consider on the path to purchase. Where are my options? How much does it cost? And will it fit in my living room? Being present and building a relationship throughout the entirety of the funnel and relevant moments is key in breaking through the noise. And Spotify excels in doing just that. Our study revealed that Spotify is influential during both the upper and lower funnel stages of their path to purchase, with 7 in 10 people saying that Spotify aids in their journey. we found that Spotify is more influential than online video, social media, radio, and print. With a vast catalogue of music that listeners to love and podcasts that they trust, there really is something for everyone on Spotify. And that is why aligning with these voices is so valuable for your brand. You're not just aligning with great creators and influencers, you're tapping into the rich and engaged audiences, fan communities, and interest groups that surround them. Remember the 5-stage purchase journey? The first couple of stages, be and dream, are all about realizing you need something and then checking out what's out there. Here, only about 1/3 of people have a solid idea of what they want, so it's all about exploration and getting familiar with options. In the upper funnel, Spotify music ads are more than twice as likely to drive awareness and inspire consumers compared to other ad formats. Our influence goes deeper than discovery, though. Once acquainted with a brand, listeners are instilled with confidence that it's the right choice for them, that it fits with who they are, and it's worthy of their time. Spotify podcast ads are twice as likely to help consumers become more familiar with and confident in a product, brand, or item versus other ad types. And in the lower funnel, Spotify ads overall have 1.7 times higher influence in building confidence than the average media touchpoint. So how does this help you as an advertiser? Across the entire path to purchase, our consumer decision research has helped identify the most effective ad types to achieve your goals. Are you looking to increase your brand awareness amongst your new audience? We found that ads on Spotify during music listening sessions between songs were 2.6 times more effective than the all media average in this stage of the journey, with display ads 2 times more effective. Or are you attempting to reach a familiar audience that is deciding between your brand or your competitors? Podcast ads can help build trust by tapping into creators with tight ties to specific communities, with host-read podcast ads 2.1 times more effective than all the media average. On Spotify, we provide brands with a unique opportunity to align the key moments that matter across all 5 stages. It's because digital audio is an all-day, everyday ritual for listeners. They spend 2.8 hours every day with Spotify, whether that's getting pumped for a marathon gaming session, hosting a party, commuting to work, or even shopping for groceries, there's a place for audio. Our consumer decision journey research shows that audio, and more importantly Spotify, is a key part of that path to purchase. It is a source of inspiration, it aids exploration, and gives consumers the confidence and personalized information they need to make a choice. On Spotify, you don't need to fight the noise. We've eliminated it. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're now going to hear from Matt Drengler, Director of Measurement Solutions at Spotify, to talk about maximizing the effectiveness of your Spotify ads. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Darren. It's a great overview, and the consumer decision journey results are important context for how our clients today are maximizing their effectiveness with Spotify. Hi, I'm Matt Drengler. I'm the Director of Measurement Solutions here at Spotify. It's great to be here to talk to you about ways we work with our clients to ensure they're driving efficient and effective outcomes. And one of the most important reasons for why we can do this at scale is our users and their experience with Spotify. Advertising with Spotify drives results by every measure, whether you're trying to drive reach with your ideal audience, drive brand awareness, or ROI. The reason for this is because of the positive environment that Spotify helps create. We know it's a positive environment because our users tell us. In surveying a sample of our users, we found that 96% of our respondents said a session listening to music and podcasts on Spotify lifts their mood. They even tell us 63% of the time that Spotify is important to their daily lives. It's saying a lot about the app that's used the most per user than any other app across the Apple and Android app stores. We don't hear things like that from users of other online platforms. In our neural research, where we measured brain activity of a panel of users as they engaged with Spotify over a period of time, we found that the positive environment when engaging with Spotify transfers into the ad experience at a 93% rate. It means they're paying attention to the ads. Alongside our partner, Neuro Insight, we use proprietary technology that measures neural processing speed at scale in order to build a second-by-second picture of activity in the brain. It's captured through a funny hat with an array of sensors that were placed on the heads of our participants, and while listening to different genres of music and podcasts, we injected example ads so we could see the transference of engagement right before our eyes. And we call this transference of engagement the carryover effect, and it makes listeners more receptive to advertiser messages. This means brands can be boosted in our listeners' minds, which drives affinity and consumer action. And the results speak for themselves. Our neuro research showed us how well our users remember brands during their Spotify session as their recall of ads increased by 5x. In fact, 1 in 5 of the participants reported to have looked up the brand after exposure, showing high engagement and intent. When we look at our brand outcomes and performance compared to benchmarks from our measurement tools, we see this same level of success. Kantar, a prominent brand lift provider in the advertising world, reports that Spotify's ad recall is 2.3x higher than other digital platforms, and message association is 2.4x higher. Our first-party performance measurement solution, Spotify Ad Analytics, is a free and agnostic measurement platform, providing pixel-based attribution across the entire audio industry. That means we're working with well over 200 publishers to help advertisers measure the performance of their campaign. And we also see Spotify perform better here, touting a 34% higher conversion rate than Q2 2023 benchmarks. We think about measurement outcomes in terms of 3 buckets. That's reach, resonance, and reaction. Reach measures, yes, audience reach, but it also detects things like invalid traffic and measures viewability. Resonance measures if we change the hearts and minds of our audience through brand lift studies. And reaction measures if we drove the action from the consumers, like making a purchase on your website, downloading your app, or walking into a store. Spotify has invested in a suite of products to ensure marketers can measure their campaigns' KPIs, and it enables their ability to learn and iterate over time. First-party solutions provide an exceptional view of results, and it gives us the opportunity to incorporate our audience intelligence into the solution, which gives advertisers access to individual-level insights with accuracy and scale. It is from these solutions that we can provide scalable measurement long past the days of identifier deprecation. Third-party solutions provide standardization and data that doesn't exist in our first-party solutions, such as in-store conversion data or location visitation data. We work with the industry's most trusted third-party partners like Nielsen, Kantar, Circana, and more. Our partnerships are custom and strategic. They enable us to develop rigorous and sound methodologies that our advertising partners can trust and rely on. So, through the lens of our measurement tools, let's dive in on the insights that have led our clients to succeed campaign to campaign. Every year, we analyze all of our previous year's campaigns to identify things like ideal channel mix and creative best practices. This year, when looking at brand outcomes specifically, the best results come from a specific media mix on Spotify. Generally, the more formats used, the higher the frequency, and the better your brand outcomes will typically be. When we see channel mix like at least 70% audio, no more than 20% display, at least 20% video, and no more than 20% sponsorships, our brands achieve the best brand outcomes possible. But what if you're looking to drive revenue, sales, or other performance with your media? Well, if your objective is to drive brand outcomes, like we mentioned, like favorability, that peaks after higher frequency thresholds, having a multi-format approach on Spotify, including music, podcasts, video, and display, drive better brand outcomes. That being said, intent peaks at lower frequencies. Fewer ads, heavying up on things like podcasts and music, or maybe music and video, reduces frequency and drives improved return on ad spend. This is something that we have seen in performance-based benchmarks quarter after quarter. On average, a frequency from 3 to 4 derives the most efficient and effective ROI. Here are 2 perfect examples of this insight in action. First, let's look at ITV's effort to drive reach and resonance with their target audience for a new series of Love Island, the international smash hit and cultural phenomenon. Knowing our frequency and multi-format insights, ITV leveraged audio, display, and video formats together to drive effective brand outcomes. And the results were excellent, as they were able to reach their target audience while they were in a positive mood, driving a 3.1x higher ad recall than benchmark and strong positive lift in associating Love Island as the original dating show. Now let's see how advertisers like M&M Direct drive site conversions and return on ad spend. In the spring of this year, we worked with M&M Direct to drive awareness of their brand in the UK and ultimately drive sales by marketing their Spring Styles promotion. Knowing they're looking to drive performance, M&M Direct identified podcasts and display as their ideal mediums to communicate with their prospective customers. They used a combination of run-of-network placements with Spotify's original and exclusive shows and audience-targeted placements with the Spotify Audience Network to take advantage of the engaging nature of podcasts. And to reduce the friction between ad exposure and engagement in podcasts, they ran call to action cards at the same time, making podcast ads clickable. The results were outstanding. M&M saw a conversion rate of 6.71%, or about 5x over our own benchmarks. Every £1 spent led to a $6.74 return, making this campaign very successful in driving lower funnel objectives and leading to increased investment for Q4 on Spotify. Okay, that's enough for me. Let's hear directly from our clients on how they achieve their objectives with Spotify.
Our vision at Gusto is to become the UK's most loved way to eat dinner. So we're always looking for new ways to reach new audiences, and Spotify is the perfect partner to do that.
At Arlo, we're ultimately looking to drive awareness and show value, but with the ever-increasing fragmentation of media in the UK, it's becoming more challenging to drive that impact and connect with those consumers along their path to purchase.
The value of advertising on Spotify to NatWest is to really connect with people at a time where they're immersed and where they're engaged.
As a brand marketer, my absolute #1 challenge at all times is how to make O2 famous. As a performance channel, there's no doubt that Spotify is a proven channel for us.
Last year, we incorporated Spotify into the mix, and it was an incredibly successful campaign. We tapped into mood-boosting music to really land that positive message association. But added to this, we used Spotify targeting tools to really tap into key moments of the day. In this instance, being breakfast time, we saw a 19% increase in message association and a 12% increase in brand awareness, which is just brilliant.
In this past year, we've significantly increased the investment in audio streaming and connected TV. It's really important that we're showing up in the right places to reach our audience.
Audio's seen an amazing revolution with the growth of podcasts and listening in different environments on different devices. Just recently, we've done a great Windows 11 campaign with Spotify, seeing over 3 million views and really strong completion rates on our video activity, over 92%.
We've seen some great success through podcast advertising. Earlier this year, when we were launching a new product to market, we were able to leverage something new from Spotify in call to action cards. We saw a really great performance. We saw amazing 13-point uplift in our brand consideration as a result of it, which I think just goes to show that taking something new to market and getting in front of audiences with the right credible voice for what they want to listen to and who they trust can really drive that brand performance.
Podcast advertising has really helped us to diversify our audio plans. Using the Spotify audience network, it's allowing us to tap into new target consumers at scale. I think with the advancements in AI contextual targeting that Spotify now offer, this is only going to further improve this, because we'll be able to align our creative to what our consumers are listening to, ultimately driving that maximum impact.
By partnering with Spotify, we've been able to bring to life our brand in a way that connects emotionally with our audience.
We're really seeing huge success as a whole on the channel. Spotify is now consistently delivering uplift in all areas, from awareness, recall to intent and association.
Spotify's kind of malleable platform and its data has helped us create these really rich campaigns and activations on the platform, which has meant that we've been able to elevate our brand. That's the kind of thing that is just music to my ears.
It's great to hear such positive feedback from our clients and seeing the amazing results they've achieved through their campaigns on Spotify. And a special thank you to all of them for taking part in our Inside Track series. Now, as you can see, I'm back here with Matt and Darren, and we're going to answer any questions from those of you who are watching. So if we've had a couple coming through already, but please keep them coming via Slido. So let's have a look at the first question. So how is AI going to change advertising on Spotify? Matt, do you want to take this one?
I'd love to. I think artificial intelligence is probably one of the hottest topics today, definitely in technology, definitely in the advertising world. We think about AI, and even specifically things like generative AI, in terms of the entire ecosystem. So you think about this in terms of our users and our listeners, you think about this in terms of our publishers, in terms of podcasts, and you also think about this in terms of, obviously, our advertisers, such as yourselves. So the first thing to call out here for our users is AI DJ, and if you haven't used it yet, highly recommended. AI DJ does a great job of doing things like identifying the songs that you've loved in the past and finding new music that aligns with your tastes that you may not have otherwise discovered. and it's all voiced over by our favorite guy, X, here at Spotify. It's a lovely feature. Again, if you haven't tried it, you should definitely check it out. In terms of podcast publishers, we just launched a pilot where podcast publishers who are natively in English-speaking countries are able to translate automatically all of their podcast content into other languages, such as French, German, and Spanish. Basically, what that's doing is allowing our podcast publishers to expand their reach and go into markets that they haven't originally been in. So that's a great way that AI is helping our publishers. And then finally, our advertisers. We have plenty of initiatives going on where we can find ways to reduce the time from a creative perspective and getting things from planning stage out to market. So you can imagine generative AI helping with things like identifying your target audience, things like crafting an actual voiceover or even an actual script for your ads. Again, all in the hopes that we can sort of reduce the amount of time that it takes to get creative up and running and get your campaign out and running.
Great, thanks so much. This is actually a question sitting in the ads business that we hear quite a lot, which is, what is the percentage split between premium and free users, and what are the plans to show ads to premium users? So DT, as my fellow Director of Sales, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, we get this question quite a lot. So the percentage split between premium and free users is around about 60-40. 60 on free, 40 on premium. And actually, the access historically on freemium, for freemium users, you have access to all the roster of advertising available. Access to premium has been limited, but now we have podcasts, and you can actually access premium users through our podcast platform. So if you have podcasts on the plan, you have access to both free and premium users all in one go.
Great, thank you. And how do you measure site or app engagement after exposure in audio if there's no click? Great question.
It's a great question. And so if you're in the advertising space and you're used to things like view-through and click-through attribution, you could think about audio exposure as a view-through. We still have an opportunity to capture engagement or exposure to the ad through our first-party data, and we can link that to, let's say, an advertiser's website by leveraging a pixel, the Spotify pixel that we place on their website. We can use the data collected from these two mechanisms to link from exposure to conversion. So we don't actually need a click. However, a click helps from things like call to action cards. So that's one of the ways we're trying to reduce that friction, but very much so possible to link the two actions.
Great, thank you. And another great question, what's the advantage of adding podcasts to the media plan?
We think the best thing from a podcast perspective, adding podcasts is a couple of different things. So first of all, Spotify Audience Network expands reach. So if you're already buying music and other formats with us and have not yet delved into podcasts, Spotify Audience Network drives, on average, an incremental 90% of reach. So adding podcasts is a great way to drive reach. I would also say adding podcasts is a great way to drive both brand and conversion outcomes as well. So as we talked about before, if we're looking to drive brand outcomes, including podcasts within that 70% mix can only help to add to those results. And then again, from a conversions perspective, because we can measure the full path to conversion, we can showcase how podcasts do a great job of driving lower funnel benefits as well. So.
Great. We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe we'll dive a little bit deeper because it's obviously a hot topic. What's the difference between Spotify free and premium users?
Yeah, so Spotify free, socioeconomically, there's not really much of a difference between Spotify free and premium. And also on gender split, there's not much of a difference. It's around 50-50 across both. So we don't really see a difference between Spotify free or premium users. It's just a matter of choice. And now for you guys, access.
Great. Anything to add there?
I think that's great.
Okay, cool. So next question, will there be visual sponsored ad opportunities on Spotify? Well, it's a good time to talk about the fact that we are not only an audio platform, we are a multi-format platform. DT, do you want to dive in on that?
I'll just throw out there, like, one of my favorite stats that a lot of people don't know, 1 in 5 minutes spent with Spotify is what we like to call a lean-in moment. And that's where the screen is on, the app is present and in the forefront, and that allows us the opportunity to provide additional ad formats like display and video. So, Alex, if you're already looking to do something like that, you could do that right now.
Yeah, and because of our technology, we'll only serve the video when you're actually looking at the screen as well. Really important point to note. Next question, are you working on a cookieless or non-pixel based measurement solution, Mr. Measurement?
Tom, we can get really deep on this, but I'll try to keep it very succinct. So the first thing that I'm going to call out is when we talk about identifier deprecation, especially when we're talking about cookies, we're talking about third-party cookies. And in our first-party measurement solutions, we're not leveraging third-party cookies. We're only leveraging first-party cookies in these instances. So from that perspective, we feel very much so prepared with the future of the advertising world. Non-pixel-based measurement is another conversation. We do a lot from a day-to-day perspective, working with clients to do things like server-side pixel implementations, creating things like direct server-side calls as well without going through our pixel. So we do quite a bit of work on non-pixel-based capture of conversion data today.
Great. Next question. Keep the questions coming, by the way. They're really great questions. So, are CTA cards available for action programmatically, or will they be? And I think maybe we should just explain, because actually this is also about the next question. The next question actually says, how are podcast ads clickable? Are they just audio, or if you are listening to it just on a laptop? So I think we can explain what CTA cards are, first of all, because we didn't cover it in the webinar.
Yeah, call to action cards are an innovative ad product that we've launched specifically for podcasts, whereas we innovate in this space. Call to action cards are not available from a programmatic perspective as we expand, but they will be as we innovate in this space. How podcast ads clickable? It would be through CTA cards that we've innovated in the space. It is a full page and ads unit that stays with the podcast. Users will listen to that podcast, and when they come back to visit, if they've completed the podcast in full, those CTA card or unit will stay and remain in view for the user to come and revisit and hopefully click on your action.
Great. So, for example, if you're going for a run and you listen to a podcast, you listen to it and you don't have a chance to look at your phone, when you get back and you look at your phone for something else, that CTI card will follow you and enable you to click on that podcast ad once you've listened to the podcast. So, and it's only available on Spotify. So, really, really great, innovative advert. Next question. Can we track in-app activity within your Spotify ad analytics, or does this have to be done within an MMP?
So great question, Ryan. We are able to track in-app activity. We do actually leverage integrations with all of the major MMPs out there. So that's Coachava, that's AppsFlyer, that's Branch. That probably covers about 90% of the app ecosystem today. And it does allow us to measure whether or not your campaign with Spotify is driving things like app downloads or app engagement. So that's absolutely something that we can do today.
Great. Okay, so I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. Thank you for all of your questions. They were really, really great. So we're almost at the end of our session, and it's been a great session. You've heard from Darren all about the consumer journey, and you've heard from Matt all about how to maximise the effectiveness of your ads on Spotify.
We hope that you've gotten a better understanding of Spotify's full funnel capabilities, whether you're looking to build brand awareness and elevate your brand, or to drive sales and action from listeners. Spotify is where you can reach the most immersed and engaged audience, where all ears are on you.
We'll be sending every one of you a follow-up to today's event, so please watch out for that in your inbox. And if you'd like to hear more about anything we presented today, just reach out to your Spotify rep.
That's it, everybody. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.